every time Star Wars is on TV, I have to stop and watch at least a little bit because I'm still 14. Hi everyone, welcome to the Pop Culture Cult. I'm Sean.
I'm Janice.
And welcome to San Diego Comic-Con week. We got a morsel of information from D23 last week, and we will be going over all of it. So strap yourselves in. We have a 7-hour dissertation.
No.
On a hotel room.
On a hotel room?
You didn't see the notes with the hotel, the Star Wars hotel?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So 7 hours on a hotel room. We got a new doctor coming and all kinds of stuff. We want to kind of get into it. So we're going to start with the doctor because we got the doctor stuff and doctor stuff and
if you haven't been on the internet,
really, and now you're watching an internet show, it's a girl.
Yay.
Yay! Her name is Jodie Whittaker, and she was on Broadchurch as the mother,
the mom of the little boy that was killed that they're trying to find out.
Right, and her choice actually makes a whole lot of sense because Chris Chibnall was the showrunner for Broadchurch. He's now going to be the new showrunner for Doctor Who.
Yep. And David Tennant's on Broadchurch, and David Tennant was a doctor.
Yeah, so it makes a whole lot of sense.
Yep.
They've been hinting at it all season, really. I read some...
Big time in the finale,
yeah. And I've read some stuff that Moffat has been trying to do a female doctor for a while. And so he was laying the groundwork for stuff when he took over, what was that, 5 years ago now?
Wow.
However, the internet being the internet, had a minor nuclear explosion. Because people can't or won't grow up. As we're talking about, fictional stuff on the internet.
Move on. I mean, we kind of hoped it'd be a ginger. She actually, in Broadchurch, she's a brunette. And now, in this, she's a blonde. I'm not real sure what her natural hair color is. But, I liked her. I like her in Broadchurch. I think she's a really good actress. And so I think that she'll bring a lot to it. And, I understand being disappointed because they didn't maybe pick the person that you wanted. But I think this is awesome.
Everybody complained when Capaldi was picked.
Yeah.
They had a huge hissy fit. He's too old. He's been on the show already. Like, just all this stuff. And he was amazing, guys.
Yeah. And it's okay for the master to be a woman, but not the doctor? I mean,
right.
Missy's been the master for, 3 years now?
Something like that, yeah. 3 seasons, yeah.
So, yeah. It's time. Move on, people.
There is a scene in not last season, the season before, where Capaldi goes back to Gallifrey, and he has to save Clara, and he shoots the general, and the general regenerates into a black woman. There's your first clue that this was coming. The general, the guy in charge of everything, it's just so we're super excited. I am not overly happy with the way they did the reveal.
Yeah.
But
we were hoping it was going to be they weren't going to say anything. That would have been awesome. And then we found out in the episode.
Yeah.
And then it was like, okay, it's going to be after Wimbledon. And so we're like, okay, we weren't home. We'll get home in time to watch it. And we were going to, Stardust it or Facebook Live it or whatever.
Something, yeah.
And, we were camping. We get in the truck to come home and I open up my Facebook and there it is. David Tennant already posted it.
So we're driving on this tree-lined 2-lane road doing 78 miles an hour trying to get home so we could talk about stuff and watch Game of Thrones. And we're watching it on her phone, and I'm like doing the whole.
If there's any policemen out there, we really weren't doing that.
And I think there was more elk than policemen out there. But super excited, ready for the Christmas special. I'm really interested to see how they do. We had a couple of passings of. I've been trying to figure out all day how to explain the passing of George Romero and Martin Landau over the weekend. Landau, sorry. And I've been trying. They're not icons, but they're
George Romero might be.
He might be. What it came down to me is important stars. Is kind of what I came down to.
Yeah, and important in pop culture.
In pop culture, right.
Because of what they did.
Right. So, if you've been living under a rock for the last years, George Romero did Night of the Living Dead, and it changed the horror genre forever. And modern zombie... I'm wearing my zombie shirt tonight. Modern zombie interpretation in movies and shows are all based off of what George Romero did. And he did a whole bunch of other stuff, but really that's what he's known for. Night of the Living Dead, Day of the Living Dead, Weekend at Bernie's of the Living Dead, the month after Christmas of the Living Dead. You know, like he did all those movies. He also did the first Creep Show. And
yeah, he did actually a couple of Stephen King. So Creep Show, I don't know that was specifically Stephen King, although I think they did some Stephen King on there, but he also did The Other Half, is that what it's called? And the book is and the movie was too, about a writer who his alternate persona kind of was taking over his real life, and so he'd have these blocks of time where he didn't remember what happened. And
so Fight Club.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, except that the alternate persona was his pen name.
Right.
Which is funny, because Stephen King has pen name. And he did something else, too. I don't remember what it was. But, yeah, I mean, he's done a lot of stuff.
He's done a lot of stuff. And he battled cancer. Fucking cancer. Jesus Christ. Can we maybe get a cure for that or better treatment?
Where's Jerry Lewis and his telethon for cancer?
Yeah, really. And then Martin Landau died over the weekend too. He's most known for kind of being that in everything. I went and looked at his IMDb. He's in everything. For the younger crowd of people, he was in Entourage as one of the a producer guy, and he was a recurring character. Was in the movie and stuff. He got an Oscar for his role as a supporting role in Ed Wood, the one with Johnny Depp. But he's been doing stuff since, since the black and white era almost.
Yeah, well, no, actually he has.
Yeah,
there were black and white movies in there. And what I remember him for. So folks that are a little older like me, will kind of remember him in the 70s. He was a staple in sci-fi. And in Twilight Zone and Outer Limits, and then in a bunch of I can't remember what the name of the show was. It was on for a couple years. It was like 2010 or something like that.
Yeah.
And so that's the stuff we remember him for.
Yeah, and because I wanted to get an idea of his IMDb. I went and looked on IMDb and looked at everything. I forgot he's in one of my favorite movies, Rounders.
Yep. He's the professor,
He's the professor
right?
who gives Matt Damon's character the money. I'm not going to put the spoiler thing up. That freaking thing's 12 years old. But I'm like, oh man, I fucking forgot he's in that. Yeah. He's always one of those guys you go back, he's like, oh, that was right, he was in that. Oh, that's right, he was in that. So I'm passing of two iconic people in pop culture.
Yep.
It's gonna happen, people. It's just gonna happen. It's sad.
It's sad.
It's sad, but it's gonna happen.
Hey, if you don't know who these people are, go watch them.
Yes, go watch. And maybe with us bringing it up and maybe other people bringing it up, the younger group of people will actually learn about these people and spend more time and stuff learning their catalog. I guess the best about it.
Sure.
Their works of art. So last Thursday last week, the official rules for next year's Phoenix Comic-Con and FanFest were published. Now, quick rundown of what happened. Some crazy guy showed up at Phoenix Comic-Con with guns with the intent to use them on one of the stars that were there and police officers, and he got stopped before anything happened. The police, the con itself, and the convention center got together, and from Thursday night to Friday morning, they implemented new rules and tightened security, and
without maybe the best execution on Friday,
right?
But they figured it out.
And when you change completely how you do things within a 12-hour period, you're gonna make mistakes, and it's just gonna happen. We were never really upset with it. We were just upset with the time we spent in line and missing stuff in the con. But in the grand scheme of things, I'd rather be safer than have something really big happen. So they worked the convention center, the PD, and the con itself with Matt Solberg, who's the CEO of Square Egg, who runs the con. Put together a definitive list of what is and is not allowed in cons. They said no gun-looking like thing at all. No BB guns, no tasers. Why would you take a taser? No plastic pop guns, like nothing like that. No wooden or metal swords, no metal armor, and no horns. So like air horns, trumpets, whatever. And no style of baseball bat. So no Lucille's, which is fine. But what is allowed is at the discretion of both the PD and the security. But they said props made of foam, plastic, resin, cardboard, foam rubber are allowed. Plastic, fiberglass, or resin shields, but no metal shields. Bows that aren't strung, or arrows that could be pulled out of the quiver. Staffs made of plastic, resin, cardboard, foam, whatever. They're no taller than 6 feet.
So you can't have a Lucille made out of cardboard or foam.
Right. It's I just put bats on there, but I think it said aluminum, metal, or wood.
Okay.
Bats.
Okay. So you could be a little more creative.
A little bit more creative. You could do lightsabers. You could do wands, like Harry Potter wands, because magic is real. And sonic screwdrivers, which was one of the things that we talked about.
Because magic is real.
Because magic is real, and why is there still not a wood setting on this thing? I'm very pleased that it's not as strict as everybody thought it was. However, if you were to go onto the BRA page, the Blue Ribbon Army page, which is the fan page for Phoenix Comic-Con, you would think they made it impossible to ever cosplay again.
Yeah, and I don't know. It doesn't affect our cosplay, or at least what we've cosplayed to this date. There's nothing that we have that we're not going to be able to.
Mostly because I don't want to carry a lot of those big things around.
Yeah, I understand that people are frustrated and sad, but it's welcome to the world that we live in.
Right.
And I'm pretty sure that Phoenix Comic-Con and the people that run the BRA page were very happy when they announced a female doctor, because then the angry internet could move on to somebody else.
Now, I will point out that when the initial post was made of the changes, everything blew up. And a lot of our friends said they're never going back to Comic-Con again. I still haven't had a chance to talk to them, a lot of them, about that. I get the impression that a lot of them haven't been very happy with last year's con outside of the restrictions and the issues.
Yeah, and if this is just a catalyst, to a long-standing issue that you've had, then okay. But I don't know that you're going to be, and we talked about this, and you're probably going to talk about it again, but you either are going to pay a lot more to get into the con because they need to be able to afford a much bigger security presence,
right?
Or these are going to be the restrictions. There's a list of cons that already have this type of restrictions, and there's folks that are talking about going to that before their next year's con or their next coming con. And then there's folks that aren't, but a lot of those cons are pretty expensive. It's like $100 a person to get in, you know, or like $100 a day for San Diego, where, you know, we went to Phoenix Comic Con for like $45 a piece for 4 days.
Right. And although we weren't super happy with the guests that we got, because they went to a different direction with their guests this year, that allowed us to go to other panels. But for $45 of entertainment, try to find that for 4 days of entertainment. Try to find that anywhere.
Yeah, the two of us going to a movie costs almost $45.
Right.
So.
There, an article was released today. I actually put it on our Facebook page from a website called Nerdorama, and they kind of do the same thing that we do. They just do it in more of a print form, I guess, is the best way to explain it. And they had an article where they actually interviewed Matt Solberg and this lady from Long Beach Comic Con, and they talked about the security that's having to be implemented in a lot of these cons, and they brought up the example of sporting events. If you go to the Cardinals, we live in Phoenix, we root for the Arizona Cardinals. Shut up, I don't want to hear it. But they you can't take a bag in at all. You can't take a person. Everybody is wanded and goes through a metal detector. You can take a clear bag in, I think is what it is, an open bottle of water, and that's about it. Like, and your keys and your wallet, and that's about it. And because they have to make sure we stay safe, because if something happens at a football game or the Super Bowl or a World Cup or the Olympics or whatever, they're gonna get their asses sued. You know. Yeah,
I mean, you have to understand that any place. I mean, movie theaters, any place that more than like 5 people are going to be together are targets.
Yeah.
For both, you know, domestic and foreign terrorists. So, you know, and the more people there are, the bigger the draw to do something.
The guy who the guy who had the semi truck in Paris waited for Bastille Day, and everybody was on the bridge watching the fireworks.
Yeah.
And took everybody out, and it's like, you know, crazy's gonna find a way, and they have to find those who organize events of this size have to do their best to try to eliminate as many options or easy options as possible.
Right, or then you're the guy that owned the bar or whatever, the venue that burned down with the White Snake?
Yeah.
In it, you know, so now forever he's the guy that let that happen, right?
Yeah.
So,
and he got sued, and White Snake got sued, and like, you know, the sprinkler company got sued.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just, the restrictions are more restricted than they have been in the past, but I still feel like it's good that they're actually trying to keep us safe. And I'm still gonna go to Comic-Con next year. We're maybe gonna do a day at FanFest. Which is our smaller kind of mid-year con, is the best way to put it. And it's held at the same place as Phoenix Comic Con. And you know, I want to go to San Diego, which is this weekend, and I want to go to D23. And one of the things I saw from the D23 coverage is they had full-on metal detectors to get into D23.
Right. Which means you're not having metal on your if you're cosplaying. You can't have metal, right? Or you're gonna have to be like, I don't know,
patted down or something.
Patted down.
Yeah.
And...
So I just hope people will give it a minute, think about what's trying to be done for us to keep us safe before they. It's the internet. I'm asking for too much. We did Game of Thrones return this week on Sunday. And we, right after the episode, did a rundown, a rundown review of the whole episode. Whole bunch of stuff happened. It's on the page. I'm going to link it to the end of this video. Please give it a watch. We covered it a lot, and I'm sure we missed a lot.
Well, I know there was some. I mean, we got the stuff, but there was a couple Easter eggs that we missed.
Yeah, there was some stuff that we both kind of went and watched separate Game of Thrones reviews today, and we both were like at dinner. We're like, "Do you remember this? Oh yeah, that's important. Damn it! All right." So we're trying to keep up with everything, but it's like Doctor Who. There's like 17 layers of everything, so it's hard to keep up. And our still yet to be sponsored Schmoedown Match of the Week. We only had one match this week. We had the what's going to happen with the Horsemen and with Bibiani leaving, and then Robert Meyer Burnett switched teams and went with the Lions Den, which is the Patriots, and Tom Dagnito and Grace, and so it's left. It's Matt Nost and John Roca are the only ones left, and they're trying to become good guys instead of being bad guys. So I'm interested in what's going to happen. But the one match that was this week was Matt Nost versus Tom Dagnito in a singles match. It was probably better to watch paint dry that night.
Yeah,
it was
painful.
It was so painful. I have no idea why Tom is actually in the league. Actually, I know why Tom's in the league.
Because he has pecs.
Because he's very abrasive and... but he's Finstock, so,
smack talk doesn't work if you can't
back it up. And he can't back it up. He's a great manager for the Lions Den. I'll give him that. And he's a good character, but he can't... he dropped the freaking whiteboard and couldn't pronounce anybody's name right.
And we have watched some where they were low scoring, and we're like, these are tough questions. Yeah. The questions they gave them were easy. They were complete softballs.
Except for some of the sports questions, I'm like...
Well, sports is always going to be... I don't know why he picked... It was chooser's choice. It was not opponent.
Spinner's choice.
Spinner's choice. And he chose sports movies. What are you doing? But, yeah.
Yeah. So, go watch the match. If you like to claw your eyes out with the...
You can make yourself feel better by answering all the questions.
Yes, you can make yourself feel so much better. So please sponsor our Schmoedown Match of the Week. So we're going to end with this because there was a lot. We're going to try to get through as much as we can, and we're going to miss stuff. I know it's going to happen. First off, D23 was this weekend. We had a long discussion tonight before we talked about Game of Thrones. We both have decided that D23 is cool to watch from afar, but maybe not something we want to go to. We're not super Disney people, so
no. The one big panel with the
all the live action stuff.
Yeah, live action stuff that was cool. I don't know that I would want to sleep on the floor to get in to see it.
I couldn't.
And all the rest of the stuff that we kind of heard about. Now I'm sure there was more, but it was like,
Yeah. Although you're immersed in it's like going to Star Wars celebration. You're immersed in the whole thing, so...
Star Wars is a little more specific. Disney, we're just not Disney.
We're not.
We don't go to Disneyland 5 times a year.
I'm going to share something. I've never sat down and watched a complete Disney animated movie. The Lion King, the Cinderella, Snow White.
Isn't Baymax Disney?
The old ones, the original ones.
Oh! Wow, that's
Fantasia.
That's because you're a boy.
I'm a boy, and I was raised by Looney Tunes. So violence. I want violence. And one of the things we wanted to say before we kind of got into this, we would like to thank Collider, Schmoes, and Late to the Party for all of their coverage on everything that happened.
Because of you, we didn't have to go.
Because of everything you guys live streamed and talked about, and IGN was there too, and they did a bunch of stuff. With all of their coverage, it allowed us to kind of pick and choose what we wanted to talk about. Thank God. So some highlights that I found, kind of interesting. The Star Wars Land model was revealed on Thursday night. It looks awesome.
Yep.
There's going to be a Millennium Falcon ride.
Ooh, don't eat before you go on
Don't
that.
go eating on that. They're, like we talked about earlier, they're going to do a Star Wars hotel. It's a full immersion experience. It's like a 3-day cruise, and you actually get to dress up in a costume and be a character on the show, and everybody there is part of the act. And
apparently, like, you look out the windows and you see space.
You see space and stuff, and yeah, so that
pretty cool.
Kind of cool, you know. You're living in an adventure. It's something that hasn't really been done yet. I'm very interested in seeing how that all goes and if it's worth it.
Yep.
Other Star Wars stuff that happened in the live action panel. They did a behind the scenes thing from The Last Jedi. Not anything super new.
No.
And they really didn't give anything away. No real new details. But some really cool images and some different shots. And
yeah, it was cool. But if I had gone to D3 expecting to get
Han Solo stuff,
Han Solo, or even something, you know, from like more from Last Jedi, I definitely would have been disappointed.
Yeah, it was cool from home, and we watched it a couple of times, and it's just the practicality they're doing with all the creatures and the casino that they're going to be at, and then
and after watching Empire Strikes Back, was that what we were watching? No,
Return of the Jedi.
Return of the Jedi.
Return of the Jedi.
And you're like, oh, the creatures are so bad.
Yeah. Puppeteering has gone a long ways. They announced Aladdin, the live action Aladdin. It was all over the internet last week that they couldn't find anybody to be Aladdin. They finally found somebody. It's Mina Masood. Masood.
Mena Masood.
Is going to play Aladdin. He looks like Aladdin. Naomi Scott is going to play Jasmine. She doesn't quite look like Jasmine. And there's some complaining that she's Indian and British,
right,
and not Middle Eastern. In the grand scheme of things, I don't care as long as she can play the role right and she looks the part. I mean,
you know, from a Middle Eastern standpoint, it's not. India's got Bollywood, right? So there's a lot of people, a lot of good actors and actresses that come out of that. But you know, when you think cinema or theater, you don't think Middle East. So I mean, I'm sure that they had a difficult time.
They struggled with it, and I also I'm actually really okay with her pick because I'd rather have somebody who isn't necessarily a certain. I'm trying to make this sound right without sounding racist, and it's not really working very well. So let me back up a minute. Aladdin isn't like set in a certain time, area, frame, region. It's believed to be Middle Eastern, but they don't really say
Arabian Nights. It's
right, but that's the song. That's one song in Arabian. But they don't have the live action one. I know they got to go shot for shot like they do one with Lion King. So if they do that, then
it's Arabian. I mean, they could have done Egyptian. India isn't really what you think of when you think of Arabian, but you know, is it the worst thing that the movies that Hollywood's ever done? No. I mean, they made a guy who was from New Jersey the biggest Indian, like, if you know, the tier guy, you know, we're polluting, and he wasn't. He was Italian. He was
Italian.
So I mean,
Sean Connery played a Russian and a Spaniard.
You know, I think that they tried the best that they could. And I think they look good, but
I'm interested. I'm more interested to see Aladdin now than I was before, with all the stuff that's happened, what's been going on with it, and Guy Ritchie's directing it, so
it's going to be off the rails.
It's going to be off the rails. And then they also announced that Will Smith will be playing the genie. He has some big shoes to fill with Robin Williams. The rumor is going around that he's going to be playing this version of multiple different genies as a homage to different genies throughout time. I'm really interested to see him wear the outfit from I Dream a Genie. Also, they did the Lion King stuff. Not a whole lot of stuff from Lion King, although they did show a shot-for-shot opening scene. From what everybody was saying that was in the hall, it was pretty amazing, but that's about it. They're doing a Tron, the Tron Cycle attraction that's been a big hit in Singapore. They're doing one at Magic Kingdom in Florida. Another reason to go.
My husband's bitter. They have a Tron attraction, but not a new Tron movie.
Not a Tron movie. I'm struggling with this a lot because you have this huge draw for Tron on different things, and it's not big enough to frickin'. Moving on.
See, I told you.
I'm not happy with it. And then the big thing that really happened in the live action panel, and like I said, we're gonna skip a bunch of stuff because I don't want to spend. We could spend 3 days just talking about what happened at D23, and we have San Diego coming up this weekend. But the big thing that happened at the live action panel was Infinity War. They brought Josh Brolin out. By the way, boy is jacked right now.
Well,
getting ready to play Cable.
Yeah, he's gonna play Cable.
And he kind of was the first one they brought on stage, and then they brought out Paul Bettany, Elizabeth Olsen, Karen Gillian, David Bautista, Don Cheadle, Sebastian Stan, Anthony Mackie, Benedict Cumberbatch, Tom Holland, Chadwick Boseman, Mark Ruffalo, Chris Hemsworth, and then they ended with the guy who kind of started the whole thing, with Robert Downey Jr. They brought one of the two Russo brothers there on stage, and Kevin Feige was the moderator for the whole thing.
Yeah.
Jesus fucking Christ. And so they were talking about ScarJo wasn't there, Chris Evans wasn't there,
Chris Pratt wasn't there.
And so some of that stuff was going on. Zoe Saldana wasn't there. They got to show a trailer,
but none of us have
seen it because
so the speculation that I heard was that so a lot of times they'll show the trailer and then like the next day or whatever release it to the internet.
Right.
So they haven't done that, and they think it's because they're going to turn around and show it again at San Diego Comic-Con for all the folks there, and then they'll show it. They might release it to the internet after that, or I was trying to think if there's something coming up big that they could tag it onto in the movie theater.
Well, there was some talk on the internet today about waiting for Monday Night Football. That's a month away. It's not going to make it a month without getting leaked.
No.
At this point in time, especially with San Diego coming up next week, there's going to be just too many people who've gotten their fingers on it. The Hall at D20 thing, I think they said was 3,000 to 4,000 people. Hall H is 6,000. That's almost 10,000 people in the rooms.
And I don't know what they do for Hall H, but I heard that at D23 they actually have to put their cell phones and equipment and stuff in a bag.
In a bag, yeah.
And I don't know if they have to keep it with. I don't know how that works.
I don't know, but apparently it's off the rails, amazing. Could be trailer of the year kind of thing. We've talked about it about San Diego with the Marvel panel having everybody at Infinity War on the stage. They pulled most of it off for D23. Which makes sense. Because they kind of pulled back on the Star Wars stuff and kind of pushed the Marvel things, but all they talked about was Infinity War. They didn't do Black Panther, and they didn't do Thor Ragnarok.
Well, and we've seen it.
Right. So that means they're going to do more of a push at San Diego. The San Diego panel is 90 minutes. You bring everybody out for Thor Ragnarok, which is first. That's in November. And then next spring is Black Panther. So then you bring everybody out for that. And then, oh, by the way, next, in 19, we have this other one coming out, which they finished principal photography already. And here's everybody else. And go. And so I just, just really kind of, from everything I've heard, really, really cool. There was a whole bunch of other stuff that happened at D23. They did the Legends, where they welcomed into their legendary status or whatever within Disney. Stan Lee, Kirby I can't remember. The artist was Stan Lee, the comic book artist. They did Carrie Fisher and Mark Hamill and Whoopi Goldberg and stuff. And so that was kind of a cool, like, thank you for your service to Disney kind of thing. Here's a gold watch. So yeah, so that's all kinds of stuff that's going on with D23. And I'm still catching up on stuff that happened. We will be doing hashtag CouchCon coming up this weekend for San Diego. We'll be sharing as much as we can, as fast as we can, as we see it. We'll be doing trailer reactions as they're getting dropped or leaked or whatever. We'll be trying to share them out as much as we can. It's just
we have some correspondence on the floor.
We have some correspondence on the floor.
We have solidified that.
We have our friends Joe and Chris who go to Comic-Con every year. They don't have preview night this year, but they do have the rest of the con, and they've agreed to take photos and videos and get us as much information, and they're going to spend one day in Hall H, and so they're going to try to send stuff to us as much as they can, so we're going to share it with you. And they're doing this free of charge. I might have to buy them a drink when we go to Vegas.
Or dinner or something.
Maybe something.
Yeah, dinner, because Chris doesn't drink.
Well, that's true. So, what do you guys think? Are you excited about everything that came out of D23? Are you happy about the girl being the doctor? Oh my gosh, that's so awesome. So let us know. Please like this video. Please, let me try that again. Please like this video. And please leave us a comment and tell us what you think of the new Doctor or D23 or anything else that we've talked about. You can also get a hold of us on Facebook. We're at the Pop Culture Cult. We're Pop Culture Cult 1 on Instagram. And we're at Pop_Cult1 on Twitter. Please like, subscribe to all of our pages. Share with all of your friends because we like having friends.
Yes.
Okay, I like having friends and she's just along for the ride.
Say goodnight, John Boy.
Night, John Boy.